What's going on out there, everyone? My name is Myles Farrington. We are back after a week off for weddings and mainly weddings. And we're here to bring you MONG Podcast, episode 140, Making the Virtual Hyper Reality. I'm joined today by my two co-hosts,
Adam Leonard
and Jordan Loeffler.
Thank you, gentlemen. As per usual, now's the time where we plug what's been going on the site. And it's been 2 weeks, so let's pick either the most important things or just pick from this week.
Well, I'll go over what we got here. So we've got Tyler Fisher's feature, Oblivion's Edge, a developer gives industry real talk. It's basically an interview that Tyler had done with a developer who had done Oblivion's Edge. Next up, we've got Brett Williams' retrograde review of Mega Man 2. Chris Cobb's Batman Telltale Series Episode 1 and Episode 2 reviews. Chris Cobb and Tyler Fisher's top 10 PS4 and Xbox One games. There's some interesting ones on there. Nice set of picks there. And then we've got Chris's Doorways Preludes review. I think he's going to be doing kind of a sort of series this month of horror game reviews, so definitely stay tuned to that. That's what we got.
Sounds good. I especially like the sounds of that horror game review one. But let's move on to what's been... recruitment. I can't forget recruitment. Anyone who's watching or listening, if you would ever like to try your hand at joining the MONG team, maybe writing for us, or if you like to make videos, you can make videos, or if you want to... what was the other thing that make graphics and designs and stuff? That'd be awesome too. Yeah, all the things. Feel free to send in your application. You can find a link to that down below this video or podcast. It's in the description somewhere. It'll take you right to the application. And even if it's something that you think is maybe not all that necessary, try your hand. We might have a place for you. So yeah, do that. And we can't wait to see what you all have and want to do for the MONG site. And moving on to This Week in Our Lives, I want to wish a Jordan Loeffler a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Still a ways out, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, it's better to do it early than it is to do it late, so there you go.
That's true.
And Adam, if you tell me when your birthday is before a podcast, I'll wish you a happy birthday too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what anybody's birthdays are, so. But Adam, what have you been going? What's been going on with you? What's been up?
I beat Deus Ex, so we got that going.
Nice.
It's good. It was a good game. There's something about the Deus Ex games where I forget them almost as soon as I'm done with them. They're good.
That doesn't sound like a good thing, Adam.
It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's totally enjoyable and filling while I'm playing it, but it's just like it doesn't just really kind of embed itself with me. So basically now I'm just I'm kind of slogging through Witcher 3 because I want to play the DLC, but I had to start a new game to do so. So I'm basically playing for hours and hours to get to the point where I can play the 2 DLC packs. And that's going to probably inevitably be interrupted because I'm going to probably get, I think, Mafia 3 this week.
Nice.
Now, you had mentioned in chat, but I don't think we ever got to talk about it like on the actual podcast, that you got to the point where you can unlock and use all of the augments, right?
Yeah. You don't necessarily unlock all of them, but you definitely do get to the point where you can use all the big fancy ones without like overloading yourself.
Is there anything like special involved, or like what did you have to do to get to that point?
It's really actually pretty simple. There's just like one side mission where basically, like right at the beginning of the game, the dude who like who's kind of your aug fixer upper goes like, there's this thing that'll let you overclock, but like this gangster's got it. If you go get it from the gangster, and give it to me, I'll fix you up. And so basically, it's just like one mission where you have to like bust into some place and knock some heads and grab the thing, and then later in the game, it makes you wait like a fair amount into the main story, but eventually later in the game you'll have the opportunity to get like upgraded so that you can now just use whatever you want.
Nice. Very nice. I didn't know if it was like more complicated than that.
Not really. It was cool. I managed to shoot like electricity from my hands.
Oh. Went all Palpatine.
Got all Palpatine with it. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Well, no. I guess that's kind of a redundant question, or not redundant, but a silly question to ask if you think it's worth it to get all of them unlockable. That seems pretty obvious.
Yeah. It's worth it. I think that I think with a good portion of like the special, like the like kind of the fancy upgrades, you could probably pick one of them because all of them meet out to the same effect.
Okay.
Because a lot of them, a lot of them are just like ways to take different ways of taking people down. So if you really just focus on one of those skills, you'll probably be able to accomplish what you're hoping to accomplish.
Nice. Well, that's what matters, as long as you get the job done, right?
But I went really heavy into like hacking and like non-lethal. Actually, I managed to beat the game without an actual final boss fight.
Oh, were you able to like talk your way out of it, or just hack around it?
Okay, well, I guess some kind of minor spoilers. Well, I've found an object that basically let me override the boss fight.
Oh, nice.
Indeed, very nice. Sounds convenient. Well, I guess like after a month or two we can talk about what that is, because that's also kind of curious, but we don't want absolute spoilers, I guess. But anything else you've been doing? Anything else exciting happening in your life?
Picked up Darkest Dungeon. I haven't played it yet though.
Okay. All right. On the
Let me know how that
PS4,
is. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's actually I should note that it's cross play.
that's intriguing.
With Vita, I'm assuming you mean.
Oh, what?
I'm assuming you mean with Vita.
Yep. You buy one, you get both, and you can carry your saves between both.
Cool.
Nice. Well, I guess Jordan, what's been going on with you?
A few things. So I've been continuing on the quest to get the Metal Gear Solid 5 Platinum. And I finally got through all the side missions, and so I'm actually working on the main missions to get the S ranks and like all the optional objectives in each mission.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not so much mindless, just like shooting and like fultoning people, and like I don't know. I wasn't having a ton of fun with the side missions. It's actually kind of nice to get challenged with the doing like perfect runs of the main missions. So I'm enjoying my time with it now. It's frustrating at times, but also it's been good. I've liked it. Besides that, I have also finished the book that I was reading on my way to and from work. So I decided to pick the old Vita back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And I started playing Persona 4 again because I think I want to platinum that before 5 comes out. It might not happen because there are some impossible trophies here and there, but I have like close to 60% of them, and there's some of the difficult ones. So if I dedicate enough time to it, I think I can probably get it done before 5 comes out.
Nice.
That's pretty much what I've been doing.
You seem to be a very goal-oriented video gamer.
You know, I like crossing off checkboxes. It's part of the reason why I played Assassin's Creed for so long. It's kind of nice to just like collect things every now and then, and at least for now, when I'm waiting for some other games to come out, that's a good way of putting it, goal oriented. Otherwise, it's mostly story focused. But I have nothing that's coming out right now, or that I have right now, that I'm super interested in getting deep into a story. Oh. Actually, on the Persona front, and I won't talk too much about it, because I know that there are people out there who are really wary of spoilers, but I did get to see Persona 5 in person, and I will say it's very stylish.
Spoilers. Persona 5.
Spoilers. It's stylish.
Oh, Jordan's already been slinging around spoilers.
So, yeah, I really am excited for it. There's a lot to be excited about. I can say that much.
Nice. That's good to hear. Good to hear. I mean, I don't think anyone in this podcast or anyone who listens to this podcast was like, Persona 4 is going to be bad. I'm scared. I'm worried about it. But still, always good to hear it confirmed, you know?
Yeah.
So, my turn to talk about what I've been doing with my week. Well, it's been 2 weeks. Rise of Iron came out Tuesday before last, and that was the day I decided that since, I went into it with this mindset, since no employers seem to be wanting to make a space for me, I'm going to make a space for myself. So I started streaming officially. Had a really unhealthy first week. streaming was great. I streamed like 10 to 14 hours a day, but then I streamed 10 to 14 hours a day. So that was really unhealthy because I did not eat meals some of those days. So yeah, I'm reining that in, getting the stream and getting that all figured out and off the ground. I think it looks. I have it where I like how it looks. I just need pretty much just need an audience at this point. I think I'll be good. And if anyone wants to check that out, self promotion, shameless, just shameless. Firebird Mantooth sounds exactly how it sounds. Written exactly how it sounds. That sounds better. So Firebird Mantooth. It's a silly name I made to troll one of my friends who was streaming, and I just because I figured I was never going to use Twitch, and now I use Twitch, so that's kind of my account. But yeah, anyone who wants to check that out, I'd appreciate it. But beyond that, Rise of Iron, it's really good in my opinion. I'm having fun with it. I beat the raid already, multiple times.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
The raid's really solid this go round.
Good things. Got anything good?
Yeah. I got the raid exotic that has like the most involved quest line I've ever seen in Destiny. It's not necessarily one I like because it's not something I can do on my own. I literally have to have 2 other people with me, which is fine. And it was really interesting to see that play out. But yeah, beyond that, it was just like if it weren't for having to have 2 people, it wouldn't be that bad, honestly. But I digress. It gives you a really cool gun that has a really high light level, so I'm happy with it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And the DLC as a whole has been really solid. I like where things are going, and I can't wait to see Destiny 2 because there's news about that. Maybe. It's rumors right now, but it'll be interesting to see if it's actually true. Cool. We're going to talk about that later. But anyway, for right now, it's time to move on to the
news from nowhere.
I need to remember I don't need to say the because he says it. Anyway. First bit of news today is Witcher 3 will not be receiving a PS4 Pro patch like some games. So CD Projekt Red isn't planning on creating a PlayStation 4 Pro patch for... God, I really gotta stop doing that. Speaking with Eurogamer, the studio explained it is prioritizing its efforts on Gwent, the Witcher card game, and Cyberpunk 2077. That means an update for Sony's upgraded console isn't in the works. And I quote, "Since we want to fully focus on Cyberpunk 2077 and Gwent and converting the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt from a full HD game into a 4K one on console would..." Okay, that's a weirdly written sentence. Would be too much of a time and resource-consuming process. We decided not to release an edition of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, supporting the new features of PlayStation Pro. CD Projekt Red said to Eurogamer. Who wrote this article? It is weird. I don't like the pacing of it. So even though The Witcher 3 can scale up to 4K on PC, don't expect a similar option on PlayStation 4 Pro because there are other already released games that will get patches for the console. When Sony unveiled the system, blah, blah, blah. There's other information. Yeah, so that's the important bits of that article. I figured I just wanted to bring that up because it seems like, I don't know, personally, I still think the PlayStation 4 Pro is not really a thing that needed to happen. Just my personal opinion. And I feel like it's kind of... It seems like it would definitely put strain on developers. That is not something they need, especially since most developers are like, okay, we just finished this game, we're going to get like a month break. I don't even know if it's that long. And then we're going to start the next one. So it's like, I feel like developers probably don't want to go back and, like, okay, well, we worked on this game, it was really good, and people really liked it, and now we essentially have to redo it because reasons. Silly reasons. I've heard some developers saying they're not really fans of the new process, which makes perfect sense in my opinion. But what do you guys think of this? Do you think... Personally, I also don't really think Witcher 3 needs an upgrade because it already looks really, really pretty. But I mean, I think
it'd be really cool if The Witcher 3 did get 4K support on console. It would make a already very pretty game probably a lot prettier. However, I think you're going to probably end up seeing a lot of this sort of we're not going to go backwards. We're not going to start working on a game that already came out in order to support a console that is essentially already out. We started seeing some remasters, a lot of remasters, when we went from PS3 to PS4. But this isn't a situation where the developer is going to be selling more copies of a game on another platform. This is going to be basically a free patch for anybody who already owns the game. So it doesn't really make sense for them to be investing any resources in a game that's already coming out. Now, going forward, if it is true that Sony is going to be basically forcing developers who are developing for PlayStation platforms to develop a 4K patch for Pro, that's going to be something that they're going to have to figure out. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of people going backwards into games that have already released.
Mm. Very, very true. Adam, you have any opinions on that?
I think they're at full-on work. Right now, I mean, they're really busy with Cyberpunk. There's no reason to slow down what they're doing to try to backtrack on a game that's basically done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Witcher 3 has not necessarily had its moment in the sun. I mean, it has, and it kind of made an impact, a big one, and it's just like, why would we do that when we're working on something else that's supposed to be bigger than Witcher 3, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be substantially bigger than.
So that doesn't make any sense to go back and try and work on something they've already hit gold on, essentially. But,
yeah.
So
I am stoked for Cyberpunk, by the way. Let me just state that outright, because that game's gonna be friggin' amazing.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking. I think I want to get it and stream it, and I hope it will give me hundreds of hours of play.
Yeah.
While we're on that topic, I mean, my biggest problem with The Witcher 3, and it kind of harkens back to what we were talking about before, is that like whenever I go into like quest-based games and like see side quests and stuff like that, I have to like go and get every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited for Cyberpunk. I have not played nearly enough of The Witcher 3. I still have it, and I want to play more of it, but I'm hoping that there's some sort of system where they don't necessarily encourage you to go and look at every little thing. Like, not every little side quest is going to pop up on your map. Like, hopefully it'll be a little bit more, like, in the moment you'll see something and you'll enter a side quest there instead of having to, like, go out and seek each one and, like, cross them off your list.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. That's also, in a broader sense, that's also my biggest problem with Witcher. It's just, it's so big. And I know that sounds crazy considering I've played Destiny for so long, but it's just like The Witcher is just it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Yeah. It's a lot to understand and follow, and it might be too big. Some would say. Some might say it's a little too big, but you know.
I also really want to bring up, like, and it would be interesting because you guys both played a little bit of it. So here's kind of like also like as I'm playing it again, here's a somewhat controversial opinion I'm forming. The Witcher 3 is a great game. Like, a great game. It was one of the best games of the year it came out. It's like, you know, somewhere between a 9 and a 10 for me.
Sure.
But here's the thing. Why it's so great, I think, is like loving story, character design, great graphic design. Really, the actual gameplay of Witcher, I think, is so to average.
Yep.
There's nothing to write home about. It's pretty basic. But it manages to overcome that because everything else on it is so great that it's like, well, who cares what the combat's like? Because, you know, you're there for the story, basically.
Yeah, they did an excellent job of doing some world building and storytelling. I just wish that it wasn't. I mean, they don't force you to, but like, as the kind of gamer that I am, I see a side quest and I go towards it. Like, it's the closest thing to me, and I'm going to move towards that marker. And like, in that game, it's so big and so realized that I feel a little ADHD. So like, I just want something to give me a path that I can craft on my own, but not necessarily an open world that will make me feel like I have to go from A to Z, like across the entire map. Yeah. That kind of makes sense. Like, I just want a personalized experience. I don't want everything.
Sure. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think we all have a very similar opinion on the game, it seems.
Yeah.
Anyways, actually, you know what? Go use CD Projekt Red for not going backwards to Pro, just to kind of go back to the story. Like, I think that was probably the right choice.
Probably. You're better than like a little promotional stunt.
Yeah. and they don't need it. Just like everyone knows their games are great, and anyone who complains about Witcher 3 not being pretty enough is... It's like, are you actually blind? Do you have working eyes? Because that game's gorgeous. And, yeah. But we should probably move on to something else that, if you're far-sighted, something with the word far and crying.
Sorry, Miles, I'm changing the order here. Simply because I want to line up like the topicality of like the next couple of news stories. But you might want to use your site for occupational purposes, and if you have really good sight, you might be able to get a job spotting fires over the summer because Firewatch is going to become a movie.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Firewatch developer Campos Santos is partnering with Good Universe to create both video games and feature films. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the first project to come out of this deal is a movie adaptation of Firewatch, the studio's story-driven adventure game that released earlier this year on PS4 and PC and launched in some territories last week on Xbox One. When we met Good Universe, we were floored by how they recognize, cultivate, and produce incredible stories, Campos Santos founder Sean Vanaman said. It's rare that you meet another group that shares so many of your values and makes the process of creating things even more exciting. Firewatch centers around a man named Henry who journeys out to the wilderness of Wyoming to work as a fire lookout. After noticing several strange occurrences, he explores his surroundings in search for answers, with a walkie-talkie connecting him with his supervisor, Delilah, serving as his only source of communication. In addition to the launch of the Xbox One version, which is yet to arrive in some territories, Campos Santos is blah, 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 not related to the movie. I'm actually kind of excited. This could be a really cool movie. It'd be kind of a unique movie because, as we know, we've all played Firewatch. It's a game that doesn't have like a typical movie storyline. It's kind of almost like a little slice of life type of, a little slice of life type of story. It's very introspective into like the past and that kind of stuff. And I really like movies that do that well. I do really like indie films that don't necessarily follow a typical plot narrative. So I really think, if done right, Firewatch could be something really special and really unlike any other video game movie out there.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. It's gonna be, I feel like it's still gonna be a kind of not tightrope they're walking, but they're gonna have to be careful just because the story itself had some issues. But I feel like they could fix issues, but they can't go too far because I feel like never seeing Delilah is still kind of an important part of it. I don't know why, but after having played the game and like thought about it, it's just like I wanted to see her, but that was a part of the game, kind of. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think casting's going to be key because this is basically as the way it should be. This should be basically a movie that hinges on two performances.
Yeah.
So you need a really
you may not see.
Right. You need you need just like a really amazing actor for both Henry and Delilah.
I would honestly be okay with not seeing Henry as well. I'm one of those people that, like, when the first-person sequence in Doom, I really liked that, and I wanted it to work, even though that movie was... I understand, that movie wasn't great. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't good. And I still haven't seen Hardcore Henry, but I thought that idea was great. But, I wouldn't mind the movie being in first person, but that'd be weird, kind of, I guess. But I wouldn't mind watching it in that point of view. Go ahead.
I think like Henry would be a really good semi-serious role turn for some comic actor. Actually, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't quite come up with who I think should play that role right now, but I think it's a kind of a fairly meaty role that might be good for somebody who's naturally of a more comic tendency to kind of stretch their legs a little bit.
Seth Rogen.
I was thinking Nathan Fillion.
Who?
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion.
Now, are you saying Nathan Fillion if you never see him? Is that...
No, like if you did see him.
Huh.
Those are both...
Yeah, I was just thinking Seth Rogen because we know he's a bigger guy. His voice almost sounds... Well, they sound kind of similar already. Now, you just said comic actor. I was like, Seth Rogen is pretty much Henry already. Oh, well, there we go.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
I think both of those would be acceptable choices.
Yeah.
After this news came out, I talked to my wife about it a little bit, and she and I had actually played Firewatch together.
Mm-hmm.
And like afterwards, we kind of felt a little sour about it. And in retrospect, when we were talking about it, we were like, you know what, this would actually be a pretty good movie because what we didn't like about it was the actual gameplay. Like the game, like kind of in my opinion, like does a lot of backtracking and seems kind of needless. When I played it on PlayStation 4, like the performance was terrible. Like just the way the game ran was just really really bad. But like the dialogue was witty and funny. Like it was good dialogue, and like the story and it's subtle. Like there's a lot of things that are going on beneath the surface that you don't really get unless you think about it. So there are a lot of really good things I think would lend themselves well to a film. So I'm on board with this.
Real quick, Mike, my choice for casting Henry, if he was maybe about 10 years younger, would be H. John Benjamin.
Well, that would be good.
Oh yeah.
He's got the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess who would be Delilah? I'm gonna say Scarlett Johansson. Why not? Because you don't actually see her.
That jumped into my head.
The voice, though. The voice.
It might be because of her, I think.
I still haven't seen that movie, actually.
It's really good. It's really good.
I don't know. It's like I kind of struggle with. I feel like you can't see Delilah. Like that's my thing. Like,
yeah.
I understand getting through the end of the game. Like even for me, when I got to the end of the game, it's disappointing. Like that you don't see her. Spoilers, by the way, for Firewatch, in case you didn't already know this. But like I think that's the point that you're disappointed. Like because he's disappointed, and like that kind of drives home a lot of things that are going on throughout the majority of the story. So I would hope that in the movie adaptation they're not going to show her. And if that's the case, then why not just get a voice actress?
Very true. They could just have the woman who actually played Delilah play her again for the movie.
Yeah.
And one thing I would actually kind of like to see, honestly, one of the most interesting parts of Firewatch for me was actually the beginning, the very beginning, when you're going through and...
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember if you were making options or picking choices or not. Yeah.
You make decisions.
Yeah, when you were like first meeting your wife and going through her like descent into dementia, right?
I think she actually gets Alzheimer's. Yeah.
Right. That was honestly the most interesting part to me, and I would love to see that like not heavily acted out. Like I don't want that to be the main focus because it's not the main focus of the game. But I would like to see those scenes played out, and that'd be kind of cool, honestly. Those were the most resonating ones, I guess.
Sure.
Best way to put that.
I could kind of see those being done like flashbacks throughout the story. It probably wouldn't be exactly the same with like everything in the beginning. It would probably be him like talking to Delilah maybe or something like that. But yeah, that would be. I would like to see those actually in action.
Yeah. But you know what? Y'all switch the order on me. Do your own segues.
Well, something else that's going to be made into a movie we learned about quite a couple years back, I'd say, is that the Portal game is being made into a movie, as well as Half-Life, although that's to a lesser extent, apparently. Director J.J. Abrams hinted at an upcoming announcement about his Portal film project. Speaking to IGN at a red carpet event for the HBO show Westworld, which he produces, and personally Jordan Loeffler is excited about, Abrams said that he'll be meeting with Valve next week about the Portal and Half-Life movie project he's announced with Gabe Newell at DICE 2013. They're very much still in development, Abrams said. I'm hoping for there to be a Portal announcement very soon. Abrams was tight-lipped about specifics on story or timeline, but he said that the writing team for the film includes some Portal superfans. Quote, "We're having some really interesting conversations with writers, many of whom are, like, crazy obsessed," Abrams said. As someone who loved playing Half-Life and loved playing Portal, it's incredible when you talk to someone who just gets it. It's like, oh my god, it's really the seed of this incredible tree you're growing. Which I was super tempted to make that the quote of the show.
I hate the way he talks, personally.
But no, I am excited about the Portal movie. I think for similar reasons that a Firewatch movie I think would be good, I think a Portal movie would also be good. It's not so much focused on gameplay, it's focused on the comedy and the story.
Well, as long as Simmons reprises his role as Cave Johnson, I'm fine with it.
That'd be great. That would be great.
You could sneak cake into the theater and then it would not be a lie.
Ooh.
Every showing there's a cake. Just like, hey, once the movie's over, we're gonna give you cake. And then by the end of the movie, it's gone. It's like, Sucks for you. Took you too long.
I could just imagine the posters for this movie are like the stages for each level, like only like via movie tickets and stuff like that. It's funny.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I would like. I can't quite envision what a Portal movie would be, but I'm enthusiastic for them to put a crew together and show me.
Maybe it'd be like a prequel.
Maybe.
Like going over all the stuff that happened with Cave Johnson and GLaDOS and his assistant and all that before before Chell even wakes up.
So it's good, instead of being like kind of like a dark witty comedy, it'd be like some like really creepy like body modification horror. Like,
that would be what Hollywood would do to a video game. Like that's absolutely what they would do. They'd mutilate it and make it something that's not even close.
So they're gonna hire the Human Centipede dude to direct it.
Please God, no. I watched one of those movies. I was under duress, and it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, like I saw one, and that was quite enough. I'm like, yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I am excited that Abrams is involved, even if it seems like it's probably to a lesser extent he's probably just producing it, which means he's probably just slapping his name on it. But I am overall a fan of what he has put together, so that does at least bode well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, let's wait and see when the actually announcement happens, and then we can watch it at some point.
And that's also another thing that I think is kind of telling about this announcement for an announcement is that like he says, I'm hoping for there to be a Portal announcement very soon. Like he's meeting with people and hoping that something good is going to come out of it, I think is basically what this is saying. This may not even happen altogether, especially since it's been 2 years and they have nothing to show for it yet.
It's a kind of strong play, though, if, like... When did they first announce that a Portal movie was going to happen? Because I don't remember that happening at all.
It says DICE 2013.
Okay, yeah, I don't... Well, okay, I didn't really play Portal, didn't really care for it, because I'm not a puzzle player, so I guess that would explain why I don't really remember this, but that's kind of a... Thank you for finally auto-hosting Twitch. Sorry. That's kind of a power play on his move. It's like, you know, if he's worried about it and concerned that they might not be able to make it happen, it's like, oh, by the way, remember that this is a thing that can happen. All you fans, time to get hyped. Time to start talking about it again. So it's like the company will either be like, oh, hey, people are actually interested, or it's like, oh, they're showing interest again. Dang it, we have to make this happen now.
Yeah.
So yeah, go Abrams. You made a power play. And you know who else is making a power play? That's not a good segue. Destiny 2 information came out. So yeah, this is I honestly have been trying not to include Destiny news a lot, just because the Destiny has gotten a lot of news from us in the past, and but this kind of seemed like it bared mentioning, mainly because Jason Schreier reported on it, and pretty much whenever he reports on Destiny news, it comes to pass at some point. So, sources say Destiny 2 is coming to PC and aims to feel like a totally new game. Destiny 2, the currently unannounced 2017 sequel to Destiny, is coming to PC in addition to Xbox One and PS4, according to several sources. The first game was exclusive to consoles, as we know, much to the dismay of Destiny fans with beefy computers. We also hear that Bungie aims to make Destiny 2 feel like an entirely new game rather than a Taken King-style expansion, even if that means leaving old characters behind. The PC rumor first pops up on NeoGAF. This afternoon, a poster named Benny_A wrote that a friend at Activision had told him that Destiny's much anticipated sequel will indeed be on PC. The publisher informed employees about the news during an internal presentation today, according to Benny A. He added another interesting tidbit that the Activision-owned studio Vicarious Visions is also helping out on Destiny 2. Although that isn't public knowledge, I heard the same thing a few weeks ago. That's Jason Schreier, which adds credence to Benny's report. What is there? There's like other... Not interesting, but trying to skim through this just to make sure I'm not reading the whole thing because it's kind of long. D2 is definitely a different game. Taken King was a reboot, blah, blah, blah. One of the terms we'll be hearing often with Destiny 2, according to sources, is play-in destinations, a new activity model that will revamp how Destiny's world functions. The plan, from what I've heard, is for Destiny 2's planet areas to feel more populated with towns, outposts, and quests that are more interesting than the patrol missions you can get in Destiny. Assuming Destiny 2 won't let players carry over their old characters, Bungie will likely offer something to players who have poured hundreds of hours into the first game. Last I heard, Bungie has not yet finalized these decisions. In April, according to several sources, Bungie had a staff reorganization. During this process, the Taken King director, Luke Smith, that is wear Oryx's ass like a hat guy, and executive producer Mark Noseworthy became respectively director and executive producers of Destiny 2. They rebooted the story that had been written up to that point. A number of veteran Bungie staffers also left the studio around the time. Some went to big studio, or that's not important. The bulk of Bungie's 750 plus employees are working on Destiny 2, and Activision has also recruited other studios, including High Moon, Vicarious Visions, and others to help with the development of the game, according to sources. Whew, that's a lot of information. So, leaving behind characters, coming to PC, gonna be more MMO-like, and other things that I said more recently, and I'm just recapping so that you should remember those things. As a Destiny player, I'm really excited because I would like to play it on PC. That would make it a lot easier to stream it, and any Destiny news is good Destiny news in my opinion. At the same time, I am a little worried just because I am one of those people that's put a lot of time into my characters, and in all honesty, that the characters aren't really anything. They're literally just an avatar for you. Like, they don't talk much. You can't change their looks, so most people just wear their helmet all the time. But I do like my gear. I understand leaving it behind, though, to fix the metas. You can't have the same weapons. Just keep going. That's one of my favorite things about DLC, getting new weapons and armor. But it's like the rep thing is kind of concerning because, like, reputation with your factions. I don't want to leave that behind unless they change the system. I'm excited, but I am a little conflicted. But as I've said before, or I said it on Twitter and other videos, Bungie's smart. They've made more good moves than they made bad ones. So I'm gonna leave it up to them. Not like I can do anything about it.
What would it take? I mean, because I played Destiny for a while, and even the amount of time that I poured into it, like, I would hope that I would be rewarded for it in some way, moving on to another installment.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that my character would carry over, and it seems like that's not going to happen. I understand why that can't happen, but, like, I would hope that in some way you're going to, like I'm wondering what it would take for a lot of people, namely yourself, Myles, to make that leap to Destiny 2 with how much time you've invested into your first character. Because I feel like this could very easily split the player base.
It might. I don't know. For me, if they're like, hey, you keep all your emblems and shaders, and you keep, like, the non-essential stuff that you have, like, so emblem shaders, like, maybe faction rep, you keep that, then I would probably be like, alright, that's fine. That just means I have to get new gear and guns, pretty much. That's not that bad. That's going to happen anyway. So, or if they're like, hey, you get to keep your characters, but we're changing up the classes a lot, so, they have to go, or, like, you get an emblem because you're a legacy character, or something like that.
Like, would one emblem be worth it to you, though?
Well, no, it'd be like, I'm adding stuff. Like, this is
okay,
okay. Yeah. But yeah, no, if they're just like, honestly, if they're like an absolute total wipe, nothing, you're back at square zero or -1, and you have to start everything over again, I'd probably be angry, but I would also probably play because I just really enjoy Destiny. And
give you more content.
Yeah. Sure. And I would like to see what they could do if they're changing up the game so much. But
to play devil's advocate, Bungie could also opt to say, like, okay, well, we're going to stop supporting Bungie or Destiny 1, and in let's say 6 months we're going to turn the server off.
I expect that to happen, honestly, because it seems like, why would you want to keep playing Destiny 1 if the content is done? In my personal opinion, like, it's fun, but there was the drought of last year where all we had was the Taken King. And it was fun, sure, but it can only be fun but for so many times, At a certain point, it's like, okay, I've done this like 500 times. Give me something new. So yeah.
I mean, this is kind of virtually unprecedented in like a major MMO, and I would consider Destiny to be an MMO, and to be a major game. Like, can you think of another game that's come out with a sequel where there's been no carryover between the two? Like, it's almost always expansions with MMOs.
EverQuest?
EverQuest 2 was no carryover whatsoever.
I don't know about EverQuest. From what I understand, Guild Wars 2 didn't have carryover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know about EverQuest. I just know it's one of the very few MMOs that have an actual like numbered sequel as opposed to content update.
You know, I'm gonna look this up.
But yeah.
You guys go ahead.
I mean, no, you have a good point. It is kind of weird, but
I don't see it as that much of a problem though. I've got a buddy or my roommate's like plays like WoW like there's none other, and to him it's no big thing to roll up a new character and get back to work again. And I have a feeling that a lot of hardcore like players of that, of games like these, when like a new I think would be like not too stunned by the concept they're going to start over again in Destiny 2. They're just going to relish the chance to do so.
Yeah. I mean, it'll definitely be interesting if I do have to start over, just because I don't like starting over in Destiny mainly because of it is kind of a grind that like the game is already grinding. Like you have to grind up that light level, otherwise you're not going to be able to do anything. That's already a grind, and I don't like the added grind of having to level up a fresh character. Even with their like, oh, these are like little bonus things you can get that like instantly levels your character up to 40. It's like, okay, that's great. Now I have to go back and do my factions again. Or now I have to go back and level up my subclasses again. Which is just like, it's not super difficult. I've done it multiple times, but it's not really something I enjoy personally. And it could just be because like a lot of people who play this game probably went into it for the first-person shooter aspect of it. So they're not used to the MMO thing where it's like, oh yeah, make another tune. Just do that for whatever reason and level it up in like 2 hours,
Well, can we also bring up the fact that it's not like you're going to have to re-level up a character on the exact same content. You're going to have a whole fucking new game to play.
Which is definitely true. That's one of the reasons why it's like not as daunting as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're right. Guild Wars 2, there was no character transfer. But apparently you could earn certain achievements in Guild Wars 2 based on your things that you did in Guild Wars 1, so there was some crossover between the two. However, EverQuest to EverQuest 2, you could transfer characters.
Oh.
Well, there you go. None of this is confirmed yet, as mentioned, but like I said, Jason Schreier is the freaking not soothsayer, but what's it? The clairvoyant of Destiny, I guess. And when I say clairvoyant, I'm pretty sure there's just somebody at Bungie who's just like, yo, Jason, this is what we're doing today. Now you know. Go tell people. Or don't. I don't care.
Make it sound prettier.
Yeah. He's like, yo, we're doing this thing where we're going to PC and it's going to be like more MMO-y and stuff. Write that so people believe it and it sounds pretty.
Are there going to be character transfers? Oh.
But yeah, so that's the only reason why I thought this was kind of like fit to report on or mention, because Jason Schreier. I love you, Jason Schreier. You give me all the hype I need. But I'm not doing segues.
Speaking of hype and lacking some. Adam.
Yes. Ubisoft won't necessarily release Assassin's Creed or Far Cry games in 2017. When it was confirmed that there will be no Assassin's Creed game in 2016, most assumed that the series would be taking a single year off. This may not end up being the case, and Far Cry may also be going away for longer than expected. Speaking to IGN, Ubisoft VP of Editorial Tommy Francois explained that both Assassin's Creed and Far Cry were undergoing close scrutiny during development with a very particular goal in mind. I'll tell you what, Francois said, we believe alpha for these games need to be 1 year before release. We're trying to achieve that. That's super effing blunt. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this. This is a goal we're going for. Alpha 1 year before, more quality, more polish. So if this means biting the bullet and not having Assassin's Creed or Far Cry in 2017, F it. When questioned on the potential alpha, Francois made clear he doesn't necessarily mean a public trial, which Ubisoft recently used for or For Honor, but the sense of having a very clearly created game, but with the time and willingness to make changes. Alpha is just saying getting stuff done, but leaving time for polish and innovation. I mean it from from that perspective. We still need to have an alpha, and we need it available as early as we possibly can, because the more time we have for this, the more polish we have. The more time we can change, refine, swap systems. You just can't take shortcuts. Previous rumors, which correctly outed the Watch Dogs 2 would be set in San Francisco and to be released in 2016, have indicated the next Assassin's Creed will be subtitled Empire and will be set in ancient Egypt. Some have questioned whether taking a break from the franchises to ease consumers' exposure from annual release, leading to a drop in sales, something Francois refutes. No, Far Cry's been going up in sales, so that's not true. We sometimes try to do too much. I'm actually super happy. I know it's perceived like a marketing decision, and even if it is perceived that way, it's actually okay. People are allowed to perceive it like that. That it's a break. The brand, this is going on really long. I have no quarrels. I just want people to fall in love when people try the next iteration of these two brands. And I guess we'll cut it off there, because this goes on forever. But
Hold on. Okay.
I don't even know that I'm supposed to say that.
I just want to read this quote, because I don't know what it actually says, but I see a lot of bleeps in here. I like this man. I do think we need to take a break. Need to break from that formula. This year we've given Far Cry and Assassins some time to decant, innovate, and polish. The objective behind that is exactly that. You'd be surprised. There's so many prototypes of alternatives. It's always the same thing. The player is king, so we play test it, and people are just like, what the F? And we're like, oh no, we just spent a year prototyping this new macro structure for an Assassins or other type of open world game, and people are just telling us it's well, there's just S, I guess. What's the way to like bleep that actively? Like effing is F, or what the F? It's just S?
S, yeah.
I've never run into that situation before.
What the shoot?
What the shoot?
All right, I just wanted to read that. I like this person.
Yeah, I like how blunt he is, and I'm all in favor of this. I'm a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, and so as far as I'm concerned, take as long as you need, guys. Take a couple years off. Come back when you've got something completely fresh to give us, because I want a great Assassin's Creed game, just not just an annual one.
Yeah, definitely.
I was kind of surprised by them mentioning Far Cry in this, mainly because Far Cry, as far as I'm concerned, has not been annualized, nor has it been announced to be annualized. Mm-hmm. Is that wrong?
I don't know.
So I mean, I kind of, while you were reading, Adam, I decided to do a cursory glance at Wikipedia, and it looks like Far Cry 2 came out in 2008. 3 is 2012, and 4 was 2014. So they're coming out closer together, because Primal was 2016. But like, by no means is it annualized, and I don't necessarily consider Far Cry to be a tired series. Assassin's Creed, this makes complete sense. In fact, I think this year was supposed to be their year off, but if they're taking another year, fine, do what you guys want to do. Gamers are expect games to come out few and far between. So make it good. Let's get someone excited about Assassin's Creed again. That's what my hope is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of Assassin's Creed. Far Cry I'm very on that as well. But I do want to say Tony Francois is the most interesting man I've ever heard of in video game journalism at this point. For one, his name is Tony Francois, which that doesn't sound right to me when I say it. It sounds like a fake name, Tony Francois. Also, I'll tell you what, is he from Texas? And
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, just that first quote, I'll tell you what. It's like, that's a Texan thing, isn't it? I just imagine him as
Francois.
Yeah, he's Tony Francois from King of the Hill. I'll tell you what, that boy ain't right. Yeah, I had nothing constructive to add to this, I'm sorry. But moving on, I guess. Constructive.
Yes.
Do something
destructive.
There, yeah, sure.
All right. Final Fantasy 15 art director leaves Square Enix, calls Final Fantasy 15 the greatest ending. Yesterday, Final Fantasy 15 art director Yusuke Norara, announced on Twitter that he resigned from his post at Square Enix after 24 years at the company. That said, explained that he will continue to work on illustrations and designs for the House of Final Fantasy, probably as a freelancer like Akiko Yoshida, who is currently doing that after he left the company in 2013. Nara-san also mentioned that he saw the ending of Final Fantasy XV and that has become, quote, the greatest ending and, quote, the finest work, thanks to everybody in the team performing fantastically. You can read the full messages below in these tweets. He says, as of 30th September, I resigned Square Enix, the company I worked for 24 years. Yesterday, Tawa-chan kindly showed me Final Fantasy XV's ending. It was my last work, and it became the greatest ending. Everybody did fantastic. It was the finest work. I have a little regret about the release dates postponed, although I was happy because felt like they tried to let me have honor. Even after my resignation, I will continue illustration and design works with Square Enix, and I also want to try out much new opportunities. So I wish you can still support me. Even thank you for letting me have all kind of wonderful experience with a lot of people. Thanks again for everything. So it's kind of bittersweet. He was involved in a lot of beloved games, and I think this kind of will add a bit of panache, I guess, to Final Fantasy 15. Like, a lot of people are probably going to be pretty excited about this game since he was art director for, I believe, Final Fantasy 7 and 8, which are some of the more popular games in the series. So people are probably going to be excited about this game. Another thing that's for this reason, another thing that's kind of an interesting point to make is that he's been working there for 24 years, and in Japan, basically the way it works, if there are people out there who don't know, is that when you get started with a company, you're there for life. So it's kind of I don't know if strange is the right word, but uncommon for somebody to leave a company in Japan if they've been there for that long and they've reached such a high stature. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say that there's any sort of like conspiracy or like scandal here or anything like that, but it's uncommon that this happens.
It's true. I don't know. Maybe he's just like made himself a little nest egg, and he's not leaving completely. He said he was still going to do freelance work for them, but yeah, I don't know. I guess everyone has that point where they kind of hit that. Everyone hits that point, it seems, where with work and such, where they're like, "Is this as fulfilling as it could be for me? Even if a job's giving you a lot of opportunities and a lot of it's been there for you and been good. Sometimes it's still just like I feel like I need to move on. I'm good." I'm good here. I'm not going to leave on bad terms, but I should move on to do more of what I want to. That's probably more of an American thing, but maybe he's just like, hey, I'm going to do that. It seems like it works for some people.
Sure.
Yeah. I wonder what
that's still like whatever he moves on to next.
Absolutely. It's, I think, going to kind of for a lot of people who have followed him and who have appreciated his work over the years, it's probably going to make this game a little bit more special. So I hope that it's everything that everybody expects it to be, especially for how long it's been in development and how long he's involved in it. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. I kind of want to see what the how the art direction changes from here on out. I imagine it won't be like some drastic like, oh, this looks nothing like the old Final Fantasies, but I do kind of want to see like what the next art director is going to do,
Yeah, it seems. Oh, go ahead now.
I was just going to be snarky and say, yeah, you'll only have to wait like 15 years to find out.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I gotta imagine. So it comes out. It's November 30th. Is that right?
I don't even know anymore.
I think that's the release date. I gotta imagine most of the art direction that would have been necessary is kind of already.
No, like for Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, future Final Fantasies.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So that'd be
it'll be interesting to do kind of a contrast.
Because I actually think I read that I think Final Fantasy this 16 might be done at this point.
Oh, I guess Final Fantasy 17 then.
Where did you read that, Adam?
Like this is like really like halfway. Like this is kind of like really vague, but I could have swore I saw somebody repost some kind of tweet, some kind of picture of the actual development crew all celebrating.
For 16?
Like the whatever one's coming out. I'm sorry.
Oh, you mean 15? Is it
15? Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. I was super confused.
I was confused as well. All right, but yeah, the 15's done, and let's go ahead and move on with the stories that were on the dock that did not get mentioned were Blizzard is offering BattleTech name changes, and to piggyback on that, Battle.net is changing that as a name, not the actual structure. I imagine just they're getting rid of the Battle.net name. Great Ace Attorney 2 was announced for Japan, so that's a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney game where I think you play as one of his ancestors. He's also Sherlock Holmes, I think. So there's that. PlayStation Experience details were released. When it's the date, where it's gonna be at, etc., etc. October PS Plus titles were announced. For PS4, there's Transformers Devastation and something else. My main thing was Transformers Devastation. And last but not least, No Man's Sky is still having its woes as they are getting investigated for false advertising now, which is just fun for them. Maybe they should actually tweet or just say anything about what they're doing right now. But yeah, those are stories that we are not going to cover because we are already quite deep into the podcast, even though the beginning of it we started late because of fixing OBS. But moving on to the Reedus Feetus Quote of the show. Bless you.
All right, so the Reedus Feetus Quote of the show is comes to us by Terry Pratchett, the late great Terry Pratchett. The quote goes, "Over the centuries, mankind has tried many ways of combating the forces of evil: prayer, fasting, good works, and so on. Up until Doom, no one seemed to have thought about the double-barrel shotgun. Eat lead and death, demon."
All right, that's a quote. I guess he's not wrong. I mean, he is wrong because we do that a lot nowadays in video games.
I think Evil Dead had come out before Doom,
yeah.
But we'll give Terry Pratchett this.
Yeah. Ash was doing it before you thought of it, Terry Pratchett. So there's that. Any comments on that, Adam? On this man's incorrectness?
You all need to stop hating on Terry Pratchett. He is definitely one of my favorite authors of all time, and I just love the man because he has such a unique worldview and just has such a way, just like a kind of a knack for just stating things correctly.
Yeah.
He just kind of understands the world and how it works, in my opinion.
Except for this.
Well,
except for your mom, Miles. Except for your mom.
He mostly wrote for humor. I think that's kind of what he was going for here. So.
Yeah. Well, all right, there you go. That's our Reedus Feetus Quote of the show. Goodbye, Mr. Reedus Feetus. Now, moving on to the thought from nowhere. It comes to us this week from one of our own writers, Mr. Darius Purse. With PSVR releasing this month, are you excited for its release, and do you see it being a big success this year or in 2017? How should Sony market it? I guess I'll start. I think it's been marketed pretty well so far. They've been putting a lot of focus on it. Vita never got this much attention, I don't think. So there's that. They actually want this to succeed, Sony. As for how it's going to do, it's kind of up in the air because it's the first, it's not the first. Oculus is out, etc. The others are out. I'm just going to say the others. But it is kind of like the first one that's going to come out that is consumer friendly, I guess. As in, you don't have to think hard about what you need to play it. You have a PlayStation 4, you can play it. You have a TV, you can play it. You have $400 $400, you can play it instead of like I need to buy this. What are Oculus and Vive, like $600?
No, Oculus is like 800, I think.
Even worse.
Five might be 600. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, so instead of, and this is of course assuming you already had the PS4, so not including that price in the 400. But Oculus and Vive are 600 or 800. Thinking about like a lot of people who don't already have powerful PCs, they would not probably have the PC powerful enough to run those two. So it's like I have a PS4 sitting there, I can do that, but the PC is going to be another $1,000 on top of the $1,000 I'm already spending. So I think it has good chances. I've not used one myself, but I like its odds, I guess.
I think that they're giving themselves about as good of a shot as can be expected. I think the teaming with Taco Bell is kind of brilliant because it's making sure that you see like PSVR featured on TV like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's a really good move. I feel like they've got their feet firmly on the ground. They have like a nice large launch library, which is important and good. I think they're making an incredibly smart move by releasing that demo disc so that the people who are starting out will get an opportunity to to test around a lot of like the different options. Biggest thing I think is like really what Sony needs to do is Sony needs to market this to and get this to their niche audience. I think this is something that's going to need to be evangelicized in so much as I think that to get VR you need to play VR, and so where you need to begin right now, in 2 weeks, is you need to get this into the hands of your hardcore fan base, and then they in turn can start showing their friends and their social circle exactly how cool this is, and that's how you're going to grow your fan base on this one, in my opinion.
Definitely right there.
Yeah, I think that, like you were saying before, Miles, the price is pretty much right. And console has always been about convenience, as opposed to PC, and price as well. So I think there's a lot of goodwill towards PlayStation VR for those avenues. I am personally excited for it to release. I'm not going to be getting it on release. I may not get it within the first year, but I'm excited to see what people's impressions are of it, especially you, Adam. I'm really interested to kind of talk to you about it. And I'm excited to see what comes of it. I think that it's kind of a huge crossroads that we're at with a new technology, and it's exciting to be living and experiencing it at this time.
Yep.
All that said, I think its biggest challenge is even though it is a good price, you're still going to have to convince people to pay an extra $400 on top of everything. So that's going to be a challenge. And then space is a challenge because, as I've mentioned, a lot of my friends' places are like my place, where there's not a room that you have enough space for VR, because every room is a bedroom, or it's the living room, and you don't want to set up VR in there because X, Y, and Z reason. So that's going to be the other challenge. People just being hesitant because it's I don't really have a place for this to go. So,
Well, I don't know if I'm so worried about that. I'm in a medium-sized bedroom. That's where I'm going to be playing it, and I don't necessarily know if I see that as a problem.
Okay, well, then that'll be a perception that they'll have to break when reviews come out, and they're like, hey, you actually don't need, a lion's cage worth of space. You can just do it in your room, etc., etc. Don't trip over your bed.
Because I can tell you that when I went and did the VR experience, they just basically sat you down in a small little chair in front of the TV, and that was it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that works, then good. That makes it appeal more to me because I have space for my chair, and I don't even play PS4 on my TV anymore. I use this monitor right here, so. So yeah, that's good. And I guess we're ready to move on and close out the show. So thank you everyone who's been hanging out so far. We appreciate it. Closing segment. I should probably edit this so that it's not as long as it usually is. Our schedule, as you can see. Yeah, I have to schedule for the people to listen. Is to record on Sunday afternoons and release about an hour later. And when we're doing that, we are recording on our Twitch channel. We're live, and that's twitch.tv at Mong, twitch.tv/mong.com. Oh, twitch.tv/mongplays is where we record it live. We are, attentive and active with the chat as well. So if you want to hang out with us while we're doing that, feel free to show up. Like I said, Sunday afternoons. That's 3:30 EST or 12:30 PDT. I'm not going to do all those conversions for you, so figure it out. On top of that, you can email us your thoughts from nowhere or just your emails, I guess, at contact.mong@gmail.com. Our good buddy Jordan Loeffler checks that frequently, I believe, or infrequently. He checks it. That's what matters.
Frequently.
There
I think frequently is the word you were like, well, yeah.
Frequently. Okay. You can also find us. Our Twitter account is mong.com. That will update whenever there's anything new to go up on the site, or if one of us sees something, one of us who has access to it sees something that's retweet worthy, or if we're going live on Twitter, Twitch, those T sites. They just need to combine. And honestly, like, never mind. That's for another time. Anyway, yeah, go follow us on Twitter. It's a nice place to be. You can also find us on YouTube at Mong Network or Middle of Nowhere Gaming Plays. Mong Network is where podcasts and stuff. Middle of Nowhere Gaming Plays is where gameplay stuff goes. So there you go. Follow, subscribe to those two channels if you want to see more of us. And last but not least, if you want to find us anywhere, you can probably search up Middle of Nowhere Gaming or Mong, and you'll find us. And, of course, our website itself is middleofnowheregaming.com. That's where everything is, so go check that website out. We appreciate any traffic you give us, whether it's for reading or finding links to the podcast or whatever you're doing there. Also, if you want to be awesome and help us keep the lights on, we have a Patreon, so feel free to check that page out. Like I said, search up Middle of Nowhere Gaming, and you can either pledge or do something else, I guess. We have things for you to do. Mong is a nice place, and we're awesome. And if you want to find these three people that you see or hear in front of you or in your ear holes, our Twitter names are, mine is Furious Milk, Adam is
Fanboy_Adam,
and Jordan is
JL_Fleur. You can ignore the things that were around me at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, he's not CD Cobb. That was the wrong overlay. I fixed it though. It's been fixed for the better part of the podcast, so no worries there. So yeah, he's JL_Fleur, not CD Cobb. Although you can follow CD Cobb, he's cool too. But yeah, that's the show pretty much. I need to edit this so I can then start streaming on my stream. So yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Ropes and sticks. Ropes and sticks.
Good day and good week.
I don't even care about slogans anymore. They're silly. Have a good one. Thank you for listening, watching, and all that good stuff.